Hello, lovely ladies. I hope you can hear me. Um, Coming to you with a little Facebook Live this morning. Um, I want to share a story with you that some of you may have heard before, but it's a story of hope for those of you that feel overwhelmed by trying to fill your programs or find a way forward with your business. For those of you that love your ability to help people and want to help people, but really, don't enjoy the marketing element of the online space. So I want to share this story with you because much of what I've heard in the last month from many of you that I've spoken to has been on, feeling a bit hopeless about how you're going to get your ideas into action. And let me share the story first and see what you hear, and we'll take it from there. But ultimately, I got started with reaching clients and getting things going in my business in a very easy way. And it wasn't the way that everybody's learning today. Everybody's learning today about social media ads and how to show up and how to do lead generation and all of that. And I want to let you know there is another way. There's a more graceful approach. And there's a way that is so much more natural to your style of connecting with people than what is being promoted that you should do. I spoke to some of you this past week or so who were being told that you should just, message coldly to people that you don't really know and offer to give them free talks and things on your subject. And for many of you that feels icky, and it should feel icky because it is, you're reaching out to an unknown group or audience or person and with an agenda, and so anyway, my story of hope is this. When I was starting out, I was very frustrated, like you might be feeling right now, with how was I going to be of service? Where were people going to find me? How was I going to find people? And living in southern Italy, where everybody thought a coach was a bus, I knew I had to get myself online, or I had to get myself at least in the English-speaking world. So after a lot of frustration, I let go. I'd gotten myself so overwhelmed with what I should do and how I should do it and what it should look like, and how I was just so wound up mentally. My mind was spinning so much on that particular area and question. And I remember just kind of being in a space of, I give up, a kind of surrender, but not a bad giving up, just a kind of calm down grace, And I remember taking a walk on the beach, and my mind was quiet and free and clear. I was no longer spinning on this questioning about how I was going to find clients or get my business going. And an idea landed as I was walking, and that idea was host. And it didn't really make sense to me. Here I was living in Italy with no cash of my own. I was financially dependent on my partner, and hosting an event didn't make sense. But the feeling of that wisdom that landed felt right to me. And it even inspired me. I started thinking, wow, imagine hosting an event, and imagine, bringing together some people and having a nice time. It was a few days later that a friend of mine in London reached out, and she said, I'm thinking of doing an event, Grace, would you like to collaborate? And I knew instantly this was life inviting me to trust my wisdom on host an event. So I took a brave step. I borrowed money to go back to London, and I remember I had no real audience or following online, so all I did was reach out to everybody I possibly knew to let them know that this small event was happening for women. And I brought some people together, and my friend brought some people together, and we collaborated. Now, at that event, my sole intention had been, I want to be of service, I want to get back into service. And I'd come up with this kind of fancy program. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I had this ambition that I wanted to do this program with people. And it fell flat on its face. Nobody was interested in the program I'd come up with. But because I got up and shared my story of leaving my day job, of moving to Italy, and now wanting to find a way to be of service to people, this woman approached me at the end of the event, and she said, Grace, I'm not interested in what you've got on offer, but do you think you could help me leave my corporate job? And that was the beginning of it for me. I said yes, and within a month, I think it was, we were sitting in Paris on a one-day retreat, and I was bringing this client through my passion process, helping her clarify her passions, her purpose, helping her discover what else she could do if she left her corporate job, and then working out a plan of action to help her leave. Well, that client went on to tell other people. She went on to leave her job. She went on to start her own business. She went on to kind of just spread the word for me quite a bit. And what's so beautiful about that is that it was so organic. It was so graceful, the way that I finally got to start my service. And the other thing about it was that there was an element of me, sharing what I had, but she approached me. And so much of what I see being taught and what I have been taught is about you going out to get business, when in fact, the most graceful way is for people to be reaching out to you or approaching you because you're showing up and sharing an inspired message, direction, understanding that you have. And so I hope that this is hopeful for many of you, that there is a way to reach people by them reaching you, if that makes sense. That even if you're scaring yourself about the online space or how you appear or how maybe that you don't have enough to say, even if you're doing that, there's so much power in you showing up in whatever capacity, a written word. Remember, before I ever did videos, I did everything behind a written blog. There's so much power in you showing up and sharing more of what you've got. And so, I hope that's helpful. That story of host an event is not unique. That has been my experience in my business over the years, is that if I allow my mind to quieten down, it leaves room for an idea to land. And when an idea lands from that place, I can trust it. And interestingly, it's so easy to action it. I don't need external motivation to take action when it's coming from that place. As you see in the example of hosting an event, life also comes in to help you with it. My friend saying to me, do you want to do an event, Grace? it seems counterintuitive. You know, you're spinning on how you're going to get new business, or you're spinning on how people are going to know about your service. And I'm saying to you, well, actually, you want to come away from this spin before you consider implementing anything. And so often people don't want to do that because it's so much noisier out there about the sort of action you should be taking. What I've come to see, that action really can only be taken from a state of mind that is clear and inspired by the idea, and from that place it's just easy to get going. So I hope that little story was helpful to you, and I am going to present a webinar next week for all of us on this subject. We'll go into more depth. So mark your calendars now for Thursday, October 8th at 4 p.m. Italy, 3 p.m. UK, 10 a.m. New York, because on Thursday the 8th of October I'm going to share with you more deeply some practical elements that can help you, some new options for you, and some new hope for you in relation to showing up more fully, more powerfully, and reaching people, having them reach you. That doesn't include ickiness, doesn't include coldness, doesn't include you having to feel uncomfortable about sharing what you've got. So I hope to see you there, and for details on that, watch the group here. I'll be posting it soon, and make sure you're on my email list over on gracefulcoaching.net. I hope that was helpful, ladies. Lots of love. Ciao.